We are back and ready to roll for episode number 47 of the Shutdown Inning podcast. I am Steven Risotto with my co-host as always, Tylor Hall. Tyler, how's it going?
Hey everybody, doing pretty good, man. We're in the heat of summer up here in Sacramento. High 90s, low 100s every day now, but at least I have some baseball to keep me company. So how are you doing, man?
Yeah, well, high 90s, low 100s, that seems like baseball nowadays on the
Right.
mound. So
It's
I'm
Paul
doing
Skenes outside.
yeah, it's Paul it's Paul Skeens outside. Here in Pacifica, I would say it's probably about 49-year-old Jamie Moyer. Um, and his breaking stuff. So, so 49
That
year old
sounds
J,
glorious. I'll
yeah, 40,
trade you. I'll trade you Skenes for 49-year-old Moyer right now,
yeah,
straight
49
up.
year old Moyer's breaking stuff because I believe it's like 65, 70-ish outside. So, but we're doing good, doing good. It's do you remember when I used to like intro these podcasts and I used to say we're joined today by Tyler Hall? That was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, I'm a permanent guest.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's a lot to talk about today. A lot of stuff that's happened in the baseball world. A lot of fun stuff to talk about. These are fun topics. There's a few of them on here that I know are going to make me laugh. But starting off with one of the ones and that we wanted to start with, and I went to an A's game last Thursday, and
I can't believe you gave John Fisher your money.
I know there's a few people that I went with. I went to an A's game, and I talked about when I went to an A's game, previously, previous episodes, and it's just kind of doomed. And it's a place that just has low atmosphere right now, despite them not being completely awful. They're bad, but they're not completely awful. And there's an announcement that came out saying that when the A's do complete this planned move to Las Vegas, they want
If they
eight.
complete.
If they complete it, that's why I said planned. If they complete this move, they want 8 games out of the season, out of the or 8 games a year outside Las Vegas. So that's 8 home games a year outside Las Vegas. Why even go if you're not even
Yeah,
committed to playing your full schedule?
that's like 10% of their home games. They want to be able to play wherever they want. And I just have so many questions. Like, first of all, like if you're Vegas, like you want us to give you money to build this stadium, and then 10% of the time you want to play somewhere else. But also, like, can the A like I feel like the A's like they don't get to choose where they play. Like, it's not like the Red Sox or I guess this year it would have been the Phillies and Mets. They didn't reach out to MLB and say, "Hey guys, we're going to play in London this year," and we'll get into that series in a little bit. But just using that as an example, or the Giants and Padres, they didn't reach out and say, "Hey Rob, we're going to play in Mexico City." So like, what's John Fisher think he's doing? Just like I just couldn't believe when I read that. I mean, talk about putting the cart before the horse. Like they don't even know where the hell they're gonna be, and they're already making requests like this.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is in 2028. Okay. And the way I think is like, especially in like trying to analyze something like this, it's like my mind always goes to, okay, why? Why is this something that needs to be done or why? And I feel like it's like maybe a journalism thing or just probably a human thing. I'm sure you asked the same question, but like, why does this need to be done? What is so pressing to where the A's can't like play in their new home in Las Vegas? I would understand like, the first 8 home games or the first home game of the series, like the stadium's not going to be ready or whatever. At least that would make more sense than, okay, we just got here, but like we're looking to play other places,
Yeah,
after playing in Sacramento for 3 years. It just doesn't
yeah,
make sense as to why this is happening or why they
yeah.
want
A's seek open relationship with Las Vegas. Like,
it. That's what it's going to be. And like, what exactly are they planning? Like, where? Like, where?
yeah,
Like, that's another thing. Where? There's the why, but there's also the where. Where are you going to play? Like, I understand if you're a franchise, like, you're on this new high of getting a new ballpark, new location. It's new. Um, let's get the London series. Let's try to promote the A's. I can understand that, but like, what are the locations they have in mind? I don't know.
yeah. Like I don't know if they're thinking like other places around because like if they get a spot, if the Vegas situation works out, I mean. Northern Nevada's kind of territory for other teams. There's a lot of, Dodgers and Giants fans up in like the Reno area. You got the whole like southern Utah area that might be open to a like an expansion team even, but they don't have a team yet. So maybe they're thinking like playing some of those regions just to kind of solidify their brand. But I think there's better ways to go about it than before you even have a plan, an official plan for your stadium to say, hey guys, like 10% of the time we don't even want to play here.
You know what would be funny is if is if they say, you know what, Sacramento, you're so gracious in helping us for 3 years. Like we'd love to honor you like 3 games a year. And then do like a
Right.
4 game series in Oakland. Just like
Oh,
we're honoring our past, you know?
yeah. Oh man, come back to Oakland and then they'd be like the road team. No, if they tried to come back to Oakland, like, hey guys, we still like you. But I mean, imagine that. That would be something.
Yeah. So it seems
I don't think
like
that would go as well as they think.
not at all. It seems like, every few episodes on this podcast would talk something stupid the A's did. We have praised them though. Remember
Yeah,
we we did.
we've praised the players,
Yeah.
but unless you're on the field for the A's, there's not really much to get excited about right now. Like you said, the team themselves are playing a lot better than expected. They're still not that great, but I mean, people were talking, 100, losses for this club, and they're well above that pace right now. So,
Yeah, definitely. And I think a good pivot is to go, speaking of kind of off-site baseball games, there was that series in London and it was between what was it? The
the Mets and the
the Mets and
Phillies.
the Phillies and the Mets. And they do a good job of promoting it over there, but I don't know if they do a great job of promoting it over here because I'll be honest, I know when the Rickwood game's gonna happen. I know the date
Mhm.
for the Rickwood game. But I also think that's because like, we're kind of locked in on the Giants. But I don't know if I was able to tell you the date for this London series or the Mexico
Yeah.
City series that already happened.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's this weekend." Like when I saw like the game going on, I was like, "Oh, okay." And I get promoting it more over there. It's more to try to get the overseas fans engaged with the game.
Yeah.
They did get to see two pretty competitive ball games too, and some great, a Bryce Harper soccer celebration. The first ceremonial double play. I don't know if you saw that with Rob McElhenney, Chase Utley, and Bryce Harper. That
Yep.
was pretty cool. But after the series, the players were talking about what could make it better. And I think Harper was actually the first one to come out and have this kind of line of thinking. And even some of the Mets said, like, yeah, that's a great idea. Is less time off. I guess they got out there and then they had like 2 or 3 off days to kind of acclimate to the time change. And I know Francisco Lindor said he would have been fine with like one day off. But also maybe get some more teams out there, make it like a pool play, give them like, 6 or 8 games over there. That way, you can kind of spread out. You can get more games over there. Because another thing the players said was traveling all that way to play 2 games just to fly back over the pond and come back on the players end, that makes it a little rough as well. So I'd be open to that. I think that'd be a great idea. You expose even more franchises to the fan bases or to the fans over there. There's probably not too many fan bases yet, but get that exposure up for even more teams.
Yeah, and I do like the selection of the teams that they picked this time around, like the Mets and the Phillies, and you know, I think the worldwide team, like the world is focused on like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, those brands, and not that the Mets and the Phillies aren't big markets, they are, but like I feel like it's a good kind of change of pace from the teams that maybe usually get those games, and um you and I both communicate with like or have communicated in the past or currently communicate with baseball fans from the UK. And like it is growing, like there's a lot of them that are very knowledgeable about baseball who are, it's growing over there. And I feel like, every now and then like we'll see a Giants fan, from the UK on the timeline and that
Shout
they
out Charlie.
Charlie Baldwin. Yeah, Charlie Baldwin's a good example. There's a few other ones. There's a guy actually painting. I don't know if you saw the guy painting the field. His name's Andy.
Yeah.
And I have met him actually at Oracle when he visited the States 2 years ago or last year. And so there's a bunch of fans that are involved, and it's good that they're doing this. But I would like to see a tournament. I agree with you. I think that would be a pretty cool idea. get more fans in the mix, maybe some, different, I don't want to say different locations, but maybe get another field in the mix too. I don't know how that would work, but could be a cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool to, see like just see new countries and, in ballparks that weren't even built for baseball, hosting this thing. And I think it was last year, or the year before, it was the Red Sox Yankees. And I have a buddy who's a Yankees fan who lives out here in California. He flew all the way to London to see the Yankees play out there. So that was pretty cool. So I think it's really awesome to just to see that growth for the game.
And you always see the fun stats too, where it's like Shamania's pitched in like how many countries? Like Canada, United States. He pitched in the Mexico City series last year with the Giants, London, maybe I think Japan too, or Korea, Japan or Korea. I think it's Japan. But because the first game in Korea, I think, was this year. So he's, it's fun looking at those little stats. And I know
Yeah.
Xander Bogaerts has had like a hit in a bunch of different countries too, which is fitting for a guy who probably speaks like five languages from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's all fun little anecdotes there. So we applaud MLB International. We do.
Absolutely. Something Rob Manfred hasn't screwed up yet.
Yes, has not screwed up that yet. Um, and some of the other stuff that happened, there's also Tyler and I talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but Tommy Pham is in the news again, or was in the news again. Um, there's a play at the plate. And Tommy, do you want to kind of explain what happened? Because
Yeah, so there was a play at the plate. I think it was White Sox Brewers. I
White
think
Sox
he's on the White
Brewers.
Sox now. He gets around a little bit, but play at the plate, and the ball beat him by quite a bit. It seemed to me like he sought the contact with William Contreras. The new rules at the plate, you're supposed to give the runner a lane, and then the runner's supposed to take that lane. Uh, Contreras definitely out in front of the plate, and he slid right into him. Apparently, some words were exchanged, and then as Pham gonna Pham, he escalated it. Had some very colorful quotes after the game, but basically a play where I think he would have been out even if Contreras dropped the ball or he somehow avoided the tag. He went through where Contreras should have been. But yeah, after the game, let me get the quote. And if you have kids, cover your ears.
Yeah, and
What did?
one of the things that I will say is like he would have been out. I agree. And I think another thing is if he wasn't trying to initiate contact, he would have just tried to score. Like
Yeah,
I don't think he was trying to score in that moment. I think he was trying to go at Contreras. And the Brewers, it's funny, they've emptied the benches four times
yeah.
this
That's
season.
yeah. I feel like this is yeah, and then we've talked about almost all of them here. There was
Yeah,
one against the Mets in the first
the Rays.
the Rays. Yep. Yeah. So Tommy Pham after the game, it's pretty well documented. He's kind of a hothead. He trains for fighting in the off season. And he said, oh man, I lost it again while we were talking about that. There's a reason why I do all kinds of fighting in the off season because I'm prepared to fuck somebody up. It's like, oh my gosh. So I mean, it's not surprising that Pham was kind of in the middle of this again. I think he ended up getting sent down like a day or two later. I think they were like, "What are we doing here?" Um,
It's funny because it's like checks notes. Oh, baseball player. Okay.
yeah, yeah. He's got a career in MMA after he finally hangs it up, maybe.
He might.
Uh,
He might.
yeah. Um, if he doesn't get stabbed before then,
We
but
were saying that like it would be like it would be wild if like anybody ever told Tommy Pham to like, hey, stay in your lane.
oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. R.I.P. that person.
Yeah.
Steven was trying to get me to do that
Yeah.
before we started recording, and I passed.
Yeah. During just the
But
game with the White Sox, just go up to him and go, Tommy, like stay in your lane. Just like no context at all. Just stay in your lane. And
do it.
like
You should do it pregame on the field. Do the White Sox come to Oracle this year? You
I
can.
have no idea. That would be terrifying. Hey, stay in your lane. And we have a White Sox player going into the press box
He like climbs through the crowd like Ron Artest, the Malice at the Palace, climbs into the press box.
before he was meta.
Yep. Before he was Meta World Peace.
Sacramento guy, right?
I mean, he played for the Kings for a little while after that.
Yeah.
After he couldn't really play for the Pacers after that, so they traded Peja Stojakovic for Ron Artest. But this is a baseball podcast, so back to the baseball. But yeah, I mean, we just kind of had to talk about that. A Brewers fight and a Tommy Pham incident all in one. You gotta talk about it.
Oh, we love
Um,
Tommy Pham. We got to get Tommy Pham on the show.
oh, yeah, go for it, dude. I'll sit in on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, pivoting to some more lighthearted, some positive news. Two of baseball's brightest aces are nearing their returns. Max Scherzer for the Texas Rangers, Garrett Cole for the New York Yankees, both on rehab outings or rehab stints right now. I think Cole said he might need one more outing and then he'll be back. So it's a pretty good timeline for when they thought he'd be gone. And I know Scherzer's been rehabbing for a while. He's obviously a little more up there in age. I think you don't know what you might get when Scherzer's back, but Cole's going to be a shot in the arm for a Yankees team that's already playing above my expectations.
Yeah, now when I think of Cole, I think of our friend of the show, Andrew Pasquini, dropping him in fantasy baseball. And classic move. But yeah, no, I saw the video of Scherzer's rehab and he looked really good. And like baseball's just better with these two guys in it, and
Yeah.
it sucks that, it's good that Cole didn't have like the entire, Tommy John surgery again and he ended up being able to rehab, and Scherzer's gone through a bunch of things. I think his back, his legs, and he's a guy that even with the injury history, I could still see him pitching pretty deep into his career. I think he's 40-ish, and I think he's got a few more. He's one of those guys that is like built like Nolan Ryan, I think, in a lot of ways, who could
Yeah.
pitch for an extended period of time. And I think the one thing you look for is like velocity and bite on his breaking stuff, and um, probably have to manage a little bit better how he feels after each start when he comes back. And it's Bruce Bochy, it's Mike Maddox, like they've been around this for a while, and I think they're gonna just be fine with managing Scherzer. But and Cole, I don't know if you saw the video. Did you see the video of him walking through his rehab to his rehab start and through the tunnel? And like there's fans that had like were trying to offer him autographs and he just walked right by them.
No, they're trying to get autographs and he just big
He
leagued
just
them.
he just big leagued them with like the most like stoic face. Like he was focused, he was there to do a job. But I'm fascinated by like rehab like games. Like what that entire thing must feel like for like the rest of the team, the other team, the manager. Um, I don't know. I would
I
like
think
to,
especially for like other teams hitters, like for like guys like Scherzer and Cole, like
yeah,
you're playing like double A or some, depending on locations and stuff. Sometimes you're like a single A player and all of a sudden you're facing like multiple Cy Young Award winners.
yeah,
Yeah, and I know a lot of these guys will like hook up their clubhouses when they have a rehab start. Like they'll upgrade the spread. The spreads in minor league ball aren't always that great. Or I think I saw it wasn't this year, but one of the previous years, Scherzer bought like the whole team like AirPods. Like when they all showed up to the clubhouse the day of his rehab start, they all had a box in their locker. So it's always cool to see kind of these guys that have to go down to rehab that are, living the dream that all those young players are working towards, take care of those guys as well. That's always pretty cool too.
So what you're saying is that if you get hurt enough, it becomes a pain in the ass and a pain in your wallet.
I think they'll be okay.
I think they will be too. Not worried about Max Scherzer's.
But yeah, maybe we find like a minor
Yeah.
league player who's played in one of these like rehab start games and talk to him about what the vibe is like when you've got Cy Young winners in your clubhouse in Double A.
Yeah, one of the guys that faced Blake Snell maybe in San Jose. That'd be cool. Um, But yeah, no, it's good to see those guys back, and from those two established veterans to a budding star, Paul Skenes pitched pretty well in St. Louis the other night, and as he was walking off the field in the middle of the inning, he got a standing ovation, but it was not from the Pittsburgh faithful. The Pirates were on the road. It was from the Busch Stadium crowd. You like the way I introed that?
Look at that. Way to paint the picture. A little misdirection. I like it.
What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. At first I was like, that's kind of cool, but then I was like, oh, wait a minute, because like when I first saw it, when I first saw like the tweet, or I forget if I saw it first on Twitter or on Bleacher Report, and I was like, oh, did he like leave with a no hitter going again? And like he had given up like 5 hits, eight, I think it was 8 strikeouts, no walks. I think it was in like the middle of the sixth or seventh. I mean, he had a good outing. I just don't get why the road team gave him a standing ovation. This guy's going to be, their division. I wouldn't say their division rivals. I haven't really heard much about the Cardinals and Pirates, going at it over the long term, but they're going to play each other, 18 times a year or whatever, or 12 times a year now, and so they're going to see Paul Skenes a lot. I don't think they'll be cheering for him in like 5 or 6 years when he's just been repeatedly shoving it down the Cardinals' throat.
Have
So
you
yeah, I
been
was
to
a little
Bush?
surprised to see it. I haven't. It's near like the stadiums I have left. Like Bush is right near the top of one. Like Bush, PNC, and Citizens Bank are probably the three like I want to go to the most that I haven't been to yet.
Yeah, I feel like we know someone with like a grasp of like every fan base. Like I'm sure like I could dig up like a Marlins friend that I have or someone that also that I've networked and you could probably do the same. But like I wonder what the like the view is of Cardinal fans. Like what is their reputation there? Like are they friendly? It seems like they're friendly based on this, but I can't remember if I've heard them being friendly or I've heard them being like more hostile. I can't
Um,
remember.
I don't think they're unfriendly. I think they can just be kind of a little over the top from what I understand. Like I don't think they're on like the Philly level or the Boston level
Yeah.
of like going after opposing fans. But I know a friend of ours, Joey, our token Dodgers fan friend, he said that he wasn't a big fan of Cardinals fans. I don't know. I didn't really ask him the reason, but when this happened, he was like, Cardinals fans, So I don't know. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
it I would like give an ovation to an opposing player if it was like like a game like that, like June game, and they had like a no hitter going, like great out, brink of history kind of outing. But like
Like
five
four
hit
homers. Yeah.
ball, yeah, like 5 hit ball, no runs, 8 strikeouts. Yeah, like that's like a great outing. But like, why are you giving a guy from within your division even like a standing ovation when he leaves a game in your ballpark? I don't get it. I mean, I'm not, what's like, whatever, cheer for who you want to cheer for. It's not like I'm losing sleep over it. I just thought it was kind of an odd situation.
Yeah. When your head hit the pillow last night, you're like, they cheered Paul Skeens.
Yeah. How dare they?
But I think it just
Hits,
goes,
hits.
yeah. I think it just goes to show, like, I don't want to say he's like I'll say it, like he's an attraction. Like he's an attraction at this point in his career. Everybody's excited to see him. Number one overall pick. He's got the lore kind of that everybody kind of wants to see, but I still don't think that like I mean, like you said, eventually I think I'd be confident in like the Pirates to say that eventually there will be some very competitive games between these two teams in the Paul Skeens era in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
for sure.
So there will come a point where I mean, what is this like? This would be like the Giants and the Diamondbacks, maybe, and the Diamondbacks having a big star coming in pitch. I don't know if that's a good
Yeah.
comparison, but
I mean, yeah, I
um,
mean, like the Giants and the Diamondbacks, Giants and Padres,
yeah,
someone in the division.
yeah, because this is not like Cardinals Cubs, which is that's a storied one, and one of the best in the sport. But uh, it there will come a time. I agree with you. There will come a time where like you can't do that, and
Yeah.
eventually Paul Skeens is going to dominate enough to where it's like we hate this guy, and that's sports, and that's how it should be. So.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, just a weird situation. I was kind of fascinated by that too, and um, I just I didn't see why. Maybe, and I looked at the crowd like in the video, it was like a bunch of older fans too. So like, I wonder if it's just like generous people. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see what they think in like 2028 when Skeens is like 8-1 with a 1.5 career ERA against the Cardinals or something crazy like that. Um, but speaking of, do you love him or do you hate him? That the Athletic recently did a poll with random MLB players. I was picking up my son from preschool the other day, and they had Baggerly on KMBR. to talk about this a little bit. And I heard just the very beginning of it, and basically all the athletic writers were asked to, talk to just you know pitchers, hitters, guys from the Dominican, guys from the States, get as broad of a sample as you can. And they asked players a bunch of questions. Who's the most overrated player? Who would you like to play with the most? Which teams have bad reputations throughout the game? So I know you put this on the agenda, Stephen. Great call. Were there like specific questions that kind of stood out to you that you thought were interesting?
Yeah, I figured that it would be cool to just kind of skim through and, there's some big picture ones, there's some very specific ones on very specific issues. But like, one of them was who is the best player in baseball? And Shohei Ohtani got 46% and Acuna, Betts, Judge, Trout, a lot of the usual suspects. And then who's the most overrated player? That was one. Jazz Chisholm got 20.3% of the vote, and Anthony Rendon. Is Anthony Rendon like properly rated? Because I feel like he's not rated to where he could be overrated. I think people know that he's.
Yeah, I think maybe like 3 or 4 years ago he could have been on this, but yeah, that was one that stood out to me too, was Rendon being the second most overrated player. I think he's just there now. I don't even
Yeah.
think people really rate him much at all anymore.
Yeah. Soto got an honorable mention for overrated. Like, what are we doing? Soto's great. Bryce
Yeah.
Harper's on there. Um, and then this one, putting aside the stats and solely going on vibes, who do you want on your team? And then 12.6% said Mookie Betts is the lead person there. So that was
Yeah.
solely going based off vibes. Uh,
Yeah, this one's an interesting one. Like Lance
Lance Lynn.
Lynn. Like get Lance Lynn in my clubhouse. Uh, Garrett Stubbs. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go, Yeah, I mean, it just shows, what kind of, different things players value. I'm not surprised. I mean, I want Mookie Betts in my clubhouse. Like who if you don't like Mookie Betts, I mean, he's one of those guys, I think I've said it before. Could he be on any other team, please? Because I'd love to root for this guy. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, top five: Betts, Ohtani, Acuna, Harper, Judge. Yeah, I could understand. So,
Yeah.
and then I feel like I just got to mention it's the month of Schwarber. June has begun, and so has Kyle Schwarber going off again as he typically does.
Yeah, he's an honorary agreed upon up for
Yeah,
for now. And then there was, evaluate the statement is we talked about what Anthony Rendon said about the season being too long. They said is he right? 68.3% said he is wrong.
yeah.
Um,
So over 2/3 of players think that there's enough games, but not too many.
Yep. And then another one, which team would you sign with if contracts, state taxes, and rosters were not a factor? 12.7% said the Atlanta Braves. Are the taxes really bad in Georgia? I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think they're bad at all. I think that's probably just like a lot of players are from the South area there, and
Yeah.
that'd probably be where they're probably who they grew up rooting for. I mean, I'm not surprised to see, like some of the teams that play in high sales tax areas on there because it's saying like if taxes weren't an issue. For our Giants fans listening, they did make the list. Not every team got voted on here. I think there was like 16 or 18, and the Giants were basically tied for like 15th with 2.3%. Um, Surprise. Yeah. I mean, most teams got at least a vote. At the bottom here, they have like teams that received one vote.
Yeah. And then
Um,
there's one quote that says, just because I was a Braves fan growing up, someone said that. Someone said I love the stadium. San Diego is a good one too. Someone said San Diego is a beautiful place to play. Um, so that's kind of an interesting one. And then what organizations have bad reputations among players? Multiple answers were allowed for this one, and the Oakland A's got a whopping 40. I don't know what that
yes.
means. 40 respond out of
So in this one,
79
out of 79, so
respondents.
over half the players that were asked said the A's.
And the White Sox, who we've gone off about, 19.
Yeah. Yeah, only one for the Giants fans listeners, one player said the Giants, it looks like. Um
Mauricio Dubon. No.
yeah. Oh, forever Giant, Mauricio Dubon.
Yeah. And I like the quotes here. It doesn't seem like they want to win. I've heard Oakland's pretty rough. Um, White Sox never heard a good thing. Um, Number seven, what is the most what is the most irritating criticism of the current game coming from former players? Celebrations, overlooking the game's current degree of difficulty,
We're having
toughness.
too much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're set off by the back in my day type thing. Number eight, just real quick, a few more. Should MLB shut down mid-season so players can play in the 2028 Summer Olympics in LA? And 53.3% say no. Um,
Yeah, I
so
think that's an interesting one. I love the Olympics. I love any kind of like international competition, and it's interesting. I mean, this is probably as close to a split as there will be on this players poll. And half of them, I don't know if they've announced if they plan to or not. Have they?
I am
Is this
not
still kind of up
sure.
in the air?
I think it's up in the air. It might be some college guys. I don't even know
Yeah, I
exactly how
think
that
part of it might
works.
depend on like, yeah, part of it might depend on like how long they would have to shut down. It's going to be tough for, guys if they have to take like a week and a half off if they're not playing in the Olympics, what do they do for a week and a half? Do they bypass the All-Star break too then? Like, or, you can't take too many breaks, otherwise you're not going to have time to get a whole season in because you can't get too deep into the winter because even some of the places that, you know, have decent weather will end up having some weather issues. So
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
have like the first December, Mr. December, start getting the
He
whole
is
calendar.
Mr. December. Yeah. I like somebody said the WBC is better anyways. I happen to agree with them
Yeah.
from a
Yeah.
baseball standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, it's built solely for baseball
Yeah.
and they
And
can
then
time it. They can play it in the spring. So,
somebody also said no because they said, to be honest, we, the US, would be too good and we destroy and win everything. I
I
I wouldn't I would be a
don't know.
little,
World
yeah,
Baseball Classic.
yeah, I would chill out a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
Number nine, have analytics help your career, hurt your career, or made no difference? 76% said helped, 10.8% said no difference. Only 3.2% said hurt. So,
Yeah.
um, a lot of people like the data, despite the contrary. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I think that goes, we've talked about it before. I don't think you need to live and die by the analytics, but you can kind of cherry pick what works best for you and look at that information to improve your game.
yeah, and no
This is a
secret.
good one.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
go ahead.
secret on this one. Have you ever seen or heard of a player being put on the injured list when they weren't injured enough to merit it? And 64.2% said yes. So,
Yeah, the Phantom IL
yeah,
question.
there's zero surprise there. Someone said all the time. Uh, LOL, just a few times. I've seen it a lot. Yeah, 100%. Um, so number 11 was the Dodgers offseason spending good for the game. 91, a whopping 91 per 0.8% said yes. Shout out to the people that said I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is kind of too early to tell. Who knows?
Yeah.
It was good for the Dodgers, that's for sure.
Yep. Are you in favor of or opposed to MLB adopting the salary clap cap and floor system used in other major leagues, major sports leagues? And 71.6% said opposed, and the rest said floor no cap, and then the least amount said in favor. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that would have to be kind of like a moving scale where
I
because
think so too.
the owners are going to keep making money, so you're going to have to adjust that floor and or cap if, the income's increasing. I think they could just say, X percentage, I don't know. There's ways they could go about it. I do think that would help the competitive balance at least if there was some kind of floor. You wouldn't have teams like the A's having like a $12 payroll,
Yeah.
having Steven be their third
I
highest
was
paid
oh,
person.
I was just about to say a $5,000 payroll. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, for sure. But no, that was good. That was a good thing by the Athletic. I think people enjoy that stuff. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
One of the best, people that the best baseball writers that is good at implementing like the voice of the player on different subjects. Like Jason Stark is always been really good at just getting good quotes from players about like certain things like that. So they kind of did like a Jason Stark-esque type of reporting project there. So that was fun and engaging, and maybe I'll put the link in like the bio or whatever, or in the description or whatever. Um, Alrighty, so shall we do some ups and downs? One of them
Yeah,
here is hilarious, so
let's do
it's your
it.
first one is hilarious.
Oh yeah. So first one, Yusei Kikuchi for the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, this is one of those things could only happen in Oakland where the dugouts open up to the field, no railings, no stairs. I believe it was the last play of the game. Pop up into foul territory down the first baseline. The A's defense is running over to try to catch it. Some of the Blue Jays didn't know where to go, so instead of running into the dugout, they ran onto the field. Kikuchi runs into, I think it was Soderstrom.
Yep, first
They
baseman.
probably wouldn't have caught it, but you can't run into a defender as he's trying to track down a foul ball. Batter's out, game's over. So got to give it down to Kikuchi there for tackling a defender in the open field.
So it's no, not. I mean, Kikuchi. We both know that he's not trying to do anything in that spot, but
Yeah.
but at the same time, it was it was such a weird look of just him coming out of the dugout and just like bodying the first baseman. Like you said, only in Oakland. I'm shocked there has not been a
Oh,
railing.
it was great.
There's not a railing implemented in there after all these years. Like they made all these adjustments to the stadium, Mount Davis, and they just didn't put a railing. But
Yeah.
like you can't just what's the term carpet back no when you like run into someone teabag them. No, I forget what it's called.
You know what teabagging is, dude?
It's the
Oh
wrong
my God.
wrong
Oh my God.
wrong
One of the
wrong
top 5 moments of shutdown inning history.
wrong concept. Hey, wrong concept. Uh,
Oh, but yeah, you can't just run into a guy
you
trying to
can't
catch
run
a
into this. Yeah, you
ball.
can't run into someone like that. And he did, and he just
He
wasn't.
just teabagged him right there in front of
I
1,200
think,
people.
yeah, I was gonna say something. I was gonna say it, but yeah, just not a good look. And he apologized after the game. uh, but yeah, that's pretty rough. Rough scene there.
Yeah, I think there was one runner on or something, and then they ended up losing by 2 or 3. So probably, I mean, Jays probably don't come back, but you never know for sure. So yeah, that gets it down. No teabagging. There's no teabagging in
No
baseball.
teabagging. That's the wrong
Um,
thing. Wrong thing. Completely wrong thing.
Number two, I'm going with Yankees fans chanting "We want Soto" as Trent Grisham hits a 3-run homer to I think put them in the lead. Even Aaron Judge kind of came out after the game and called out the fans. It's not like he was benched or anything; he was hurt. Grisham's out there playing his best. I'm not even a big Grisham guy myself, but like a guy, yeah, you want to see your team's best players, but if they're hurt, like what's chanting that do to help anybody? And I know Yankees fans probably aren't really worried about trying to help anybody most of the time anyway, but I thought that was kind of a weird scene. And even when you got the judge, the captain coming out saying, "Come on, don't do that. Got to give
He's
him a down."
yeah, he's hurt. He's hurt. He's like he's injured and like I understand they want to see him and everything, but there's certain things that you don't chant or you don't say even. And like
Yeah.
Trent Grisham is also and Trent Grisham is not awful. And he's very capable and like, anybody that comes up, and I understand like obviously some players are better than others, but when there's a guy on your team that you're rooting for, like that should be confidence, especially when it's a big spot in the game and he ends up hitting a 3-run homer on national television. It was a big moment. I understand the want for Juan Soto, but when he's hurt, like he wasn't going to play, and it's not
Yeah.
like the Yankees are going to sacrifice his well-being for a pinch hit for Trent Grisham. And imagine how Trent Grisham's feeling. Like that probably can't be thrilling to hear. God, they don't even want me up, my own fans.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch him when he hit the home run, he was a little fired up, I think, and I think he had a bat flip and just kind of a little bit of an attitude coming around. And I think it was Judge in the dugout was like after they came around because Judge was on base, he was yelling like, "We want who?" So
Trent,
yep.
we
So
want
yeah,
Trent.
Yankees fans, you're getting down number two. Down number three, we made some football references a moment ago. Micah Parsons, the all-pro linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys, for some reason decided to come out and say he could hit 200 at the major league level. Uh, Takes like this always make me just shake my head. People just, I don't think people understand how difficult it is to hit a baseball, let alone get a hit. Um, and then Tyler Glass now came out and said if he had 500 at bats, he might get 5 hits. So that would be an average of 0.001. And I definitely would side more with Glass now here than Micah Parsons. But like I said, these kind of when it happens all the time, you see people saying like, "Oh, I could hit a home run in Major League Baseball, or I could hit, I could hit a Major League pitcher." Like, no, you really can't. Like,
And there's a reason why Glasnow is right. There's a reason why he would get 5 hits and 500 at bats. And the only reason is because after a while, you're just going to get all fastballs. And after a while, you're going to time it up. And because you're just not respectable enough to throw anything else. Right.
yeah.
So pitchers would just throw Micah Parsons like all fastballs. And,
Yeah,
you know,
like one or two of those hits would probably be like a little chopper down the third baseline that they just can't get to in
exactly.
time, and you can make it down the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. And it would be like a whole process too. I could see it being like, the first foul ball comes on July 5th. And then like he got another foul ball on July 22nd. Oh, we're following it. Oh, the first hit August 20th. Look at that. It would just not be good. So people need to stop talking about how baseball's easy. It's not. And an example of this is because take a baseball player and they're out there throwing perfect spirals. They're out there slam dunking. They're out there doing everything great in other sports, while basketball players, when they get invited to take batting practice, it's ugly. When football
When they
players
get invited just to throw a first pitch, it's
a
ugly.
first pitch, exactly. And football player, same thing. And there's a lot of guys that have done like, you know, dual sport athletes who could probably pull it off. Like I'm sure Mahomes could maybe hit 200, but even him, a guy who grew up playing the sport, especially when you haven't played it in a while. And I think Tim Tebow is kind of an interesting case, but that's a conversation for a different story. But I wish we would have really been on when that whole thing was happening. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's just it's a tired act. Baseball's hard. Um, and it's there's even other sports that are harder than basketball and football.
Yeah.
Golf, tennis, even hockey, maybe. Like these are sports that I think are more difficult. Um, so
Well, I mean, when we talk about just like, because he didn't say like he could get contact. He said he could hit 200. Like, there's like all stars that are barely hitting 200. Like the averages are going down.
yeah,
It used to be like if you hit 300, you're a stud. Now you're even more of a stud because only like 10 people that get the minimum plate appearances hit 300 anymore.
yeah. Micah, throw out
Like,
the first pitch.
yeah, like so what I always say is, I use 300. I guess now it'd probably be like closer to like 270, as the baseline. Like if Tom Brady completed 30% of his passes or Michael Jordan made 30% of his shots, like they wouldn't have been professional football or basketball players. But you have someone doing that in Major League Baseball and they're like at the top of the game. So, it's tough. You're hitting a round ball with a round stick.
Yep. And it's again, throw out the first pitch, Micah, and then we'll judge you on your arm slot and everything. And if usually if someone's not throwing well, that means they're not hitting well either. Like you could tell. But
Yeah.
based on the people that don't throw good, I could probably imagine you probably can't hit either. So
Yeah.
Glass now might be being generous too. So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
good one. All right. Well, my ups to finish it off on a high note. And by the way, the reference I was trying to, or the line I was trying to find was clotheslined. Clotheslined.
Very different. Very
Very
different.
different. And I wanna apologize to the audience out there for maybe thinking this was a family show, listening in the car with the kids. I
Oh man, that was what a moment. Anyway, back
it
to the ups.
it will get clipped off.
No, it will not.
For us, it will get clipped off. You'll save it in the camera roll, and I'll do the same.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
Um, Jack Coloni, Calig, how do you say his name?
Caglione?
Caglione. Thank you. I wrote down like the name
You
pronunciation,
even
but it's
wrote it phonetically and you still jacked it
I
up.
wrote it phonetic. Caliglione, who is just a star at Florida, um, at for the Florida Gators in the College World Series, and they advanced to the College World Series for the second straight year, and they're led by this 6'5", 250 pound like legend already. He's made a legendary name for himself this season. He's a two-way guy. He hit 411 with 33 homers, 68 RBIs. He had a ton of multi-homer games this year. Um, he's projected to be a top 5 pick in the draft next month. And he's a left-handed pitcher too. He went 5-2 with a 4.71 ERA in 15 starts. So, I mean, he's been even on MLB's Instagram and Twitter account. He's just been on a roll. Big, strong left-handed hitter, one of the best sluggers in college baseball history, one of the best seasons in college baseball history. So, had to give him his flowers and shout out the great work that he's done. He hit one home run that was like 119 miles an hour off the bat. And I think he's got like 70 career college homers.
Exit velocity is ruining the game.
Exit velocity ruining the This guy's just amazing. He's just a stud. And he is somebody, Tyler, that I am older than. So,
Congratulations.
yes. So,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, he's going to be a top draft pick somewhere in those first probably 5 picks, as you mentioned. And it'll be interesting to see. Before we started recording, I said, is Shohei Ohtani doing to baseball what Steph Curry did to basketball, where everyone started hoisting threes, and now we got. I mean, it's been pretty common in college baseball where, like Buster Posey, I think, was the Florida State closer when he
yep.
played in college. But it will be interesting to see how many of these guys try to, translate that two-way into professional ball and see if they can pull it off.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'd be interested to see how that works. And some of the guys that have tried coming into Major League Baseball, they've had to abandon it. A bunch of the Giants guys, or two of the Giants guys, Reggie Crawford and Bryce Eldridge, they had to stop. Reggie Crawford had to stop hitting. Eldridge had to stop pitching. So hopefully a team commits to it down the line. But we have never seen a two-way guy developed in the United States. Shohei Ohtani was already a two-way guy when he came over, but we have not seen an organization master it just yet. So the first team to do it will be a Trailblazer. Also, Aaron Judge is just absolutely tearing the cover off the baseball the last few weeks. Pretty much the entire month of June, he's been exceptional. He came into San Francisco for those Giants fans and just set the world on fire. Had like 3 homers in the series. He's got a league leading 25. He's got a league leading 62 RBIs. He's got a league leading 55 walks, leading the world in on base, slugging, OPS plus, total bases. He is doubles. I mean, he's just a machine right now. He's having a career season. This is on track to be one of his best statistical seasons. Not in terms of home run pace or anything, but overall OPS statistically, he's having a monster season. And I don't remember hearing much about him at the beginning of the year, but I'm sure with the season like this, he was hitting at the beginning of the year and we just kind of overlooked it.
Yeah, I mean, last 2 weeks, so last 15 days, 15 runs, 8 home runs, 23 ribbies, 12 walks, 3 stolen bases, batting .435 with a .552 on base percentage. It's like video game numbers from Aaron Judge, and it's not the first time we've seen it from him. He hit 62 a few years back, and I think he's pretty close to that pace right now. I know you said maybe not in home runs, but he's pretty close. I mean, already at 25, they're not halfway through yet, so that's going to put him over 50. So, if he hit on this pace. So he's just fun to watch. I mean, he just hits balls, and you just know he doesn't hit many. Will it get out? I'm not sure. Like he hits no doubters. He hit one at Yankee Stadium the other day, second deck right down the line, just murdered that baseball. And then just to even tie it back to the Downs, calling out the Yankees fans as the captain. Take some balls to call out the Yankees fans, and he did it. So great last 2 weeks or so for Judge. All rise.
Yep. And first 31 games of the year, he hit 207. But while hitting 207, he also had a 754 OPS. So it wasn't horrible. 6 homers in that time. And then May, he hit 361 in May with a 1.397 OPS. And then in June, it's just, I mean, He's 16 for 30. That's above 500. That's above 530. So he's
Yeah.
on a roll. And it's good when he's playing well. Um, Final up, and I want to give kudos to the Oakland Ballers. They debuted in professional baseball in the Pioneer League. They did debuted a few weeks ago, but this past week was their first like official series at home in Oakland at Raimondi Field in West Oakland. They really revitalized that part or that part of West Oakland, and it's become really a community when the Ballers are playing there. And they put a bunch of money into that field, and just the way they have everything set up looks really cool. And I can't wait to get out there to a game soon. But they have Kelsey Whitmore, who's one of the first female pitchers to play in the Atlantic League. Now she's in the Pioneer League. They have JT Snow. They have a cast of major leaguers on the coaching staff. They have a few well-known, not well-known players on their team, but well-known in like the college local realm. So they're doing a good job. The fans really got involved in the first homestand, and they're looking to keep that up. So pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, hopefully the fans can stay behind him. Hopefully it doesn't kind of die down over time, and they can show that even if it's not Major League Baseball, Oakland loves baseball, and they'll support a team that supports them back. So
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really cool to see that.
yeah, I actually have a friend who lives down in the city, and he was texting me in another buddy, and he said that he's seen more Ballers gear than A's gear around the city in the last few weeks. So they're already the most popular team in Oakland.
Yeah, I got to get down there and like cover a game or something. You and I could easily like cover a game on the media side down there.
Let's do
Uh,
it.
let's do it. We'll go down, we'll get like a few interviews and then we'll combine it into just one big show. So I think that would be cool.
One big baller episode.
One big baller episode. A big baller episode. I see what you did there. Clothesline me with the transition. All right. Well, that I think we shut it down again. We did a whole lot more than shutting it down this episode. But we shut it down, Tyler.
We did. We got some laughs. We got to talk about some really fun topics. I call that a win. I call it a shutdown inning, my friend.
A shutdown inning. So that's the 47th shutdown inning that we've had. We're almost to Oral Hershiser. Is that the right math?
What number was he on? You lost
He
me.
had the consecutive scoreless inning streak.
Oh, gotcha.
I think it's like 50 something.
Yeah, it's in the 50s somewhere
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
we are approaching that. I remember one time when we got to episode 9, I was like, we threw a no hitter. So everybody could go ahead and follow us on Twitter at shutdown_inning. And of course, Spotify, get your podcasts wherever you get them. And we will see you next time.
That's what's up.
Bada bing.